Water movement in the soil is strongly influenced by soil particle size, or texture, as well as structure and pore size. Soil texture is the relative amount of sand, silt, and clay-sized soil particles. Sand particles are the largest, silt is intermediate, and clay is the smallest. Water moves more quickly through the large open macropores found in sandy soils than the smaller pores of silt or the much smaller flat-shaped micropores in dense clay soils. Soil structure also impacts water movement. Water moves more quickly downward in soils with granular structure than a soil with platy structure that forces a longer indirect path downward. Other structures include prismatic and subangular blocking. Water is nearly always moving in the soil, and it can be in any direction simultaneously. Gravity is the dominant force that moves water downward. Restricted soil layers of compacted soil or bedrock are among the reasons water moves laterally. Capillary action, the attraction of water into soil pores, can move water in any direction. Gravity is the primary water-moving force in saturated soils, while capillary actions are the primary forces in unsaturated soils. Capillary force is greatest in soils with small pores. Water moves more slowly through these soils. Well, that's a brief explanation of what a soil scientist calls saturated hydraulic conductivity. In simpler terms, the capacity of a soil to transmit water. Since downward-moving water carries nutrients and can carry contaminants into underlying groundwater, soil percolation rates are important in choosing sites for septic fields, landfills, and other waste burials, as well as underground storage tanks and other uses. The information is critical for planning soil drainage, irrigation, and tillage systems, as well as other crop management practices.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christine Marielty MANON-OG, and I will be your reporter for today. So today, I will be discussing about soil-water relationship. So in soil-water relationship, it composes the important relationship between soil and water in irrigation system. So this chapter outlines the basic concepts of the nature of soil, water, and the interactive forces that affects the distribution and movement of water in the soil-water plant system. Under irrigation, soil and water compatibility is very important. If they are not compatible, the applied irrigation water could have an adverse effect on the chemical and physical properties of the soil. So, in determining the suitability of land for irrigation, it requires a thorough evaluation of the soil properties, the topography of the land in the field, and the quality of water to be used for irrigation. So, it is a basic understanding of soil, water, and plant interaction that will help irrigators efficiently manage their crops, soil irrigation systems, and water supply. So after this report, we will find out the soil structure and the water cooperates the interaction that will help irrigators manage efficiently their irrigation system and water supplies. So take note that if you give too much, you'll end up being hurt. So better give enough so that it will prosper and grow. So let's go to the next page. So the soil has 5 types of soil properties, which is the soil bulk density, porosity, soil water content, soil water potential, and soil permeability. So let's start with soil bulk density. So soil bulk density means it is the dry weight of soil divided by its volume. So this volume includes the volume of soil particles and the volume of pores among soil particles. So bulk density reflects the soil's ability to function for structural support, water and solute movement, and soil aeration. So bulk density is also used to convert between weight and volume of soil. It is used to express soil physical, chemical, and biological measurements on a volumetric basis for soil quantity assessment and comparison between management and systems. So here is the table shown in the PDF that I downloaded. So here are the general relationship of soil bulk density to root growth based on soil texture. So the soil texture given is the sandy, silty, and the clay. So in this part, it shows the ideal bulk densities for plants, while the other one is the bulk densities that restrict growth, root growth. So you can see the difference between the ideal and the restrict growth. So second one of the properties is the soil porosity. So soil porosity refers to the amount of pores or open space between soil particles. So pore spaces may be formed due to the movement of roots, worms, and insects. So expanding gases trapped within the spaces by the groundwater. So soil could have a porosity or the pores will be open. It's because of the moving living things in it. So next, also soil porosity is important for many reasons. The most important one is it contains the groundwater that many of us drink. It also has another important aspect of soil porosity that concerns the oxygen found within these pore spaces. All plants needs oxygen for respiration. So a well-aerated soil is important for growing crops. Compaction by construction equipment or our feet can decrease soil porosity and negatively impact the ability of soil to provide oxygen and water. So the next properties is the soil water content. So soil water content it is the water holding capacity controlled primarily by soil texture and organic matter. Soils with smaller particles like silt and clay have a larger surface area than those with larger sand particles, and a large surface area allows a soil to hold more water. In other words, a soil with a high percentage of silt and clay particles, which describes fine soil, and it has a higher water holding capacity. So here is a table that represents or shows an average available water content for various soil texture classes. So in textural classes, it indicates the sand loam, silt loam, clay loam, silty clay, and clay. And it has the percentage of moisture in wilting point, field capacity, and available water. So you could see the difference in their moisture content. So next one is the soil water potential. Soil water potential is the amount of work that must be done per unit quantity of pure water in order to transport reversibly and isothermally to the soil water at a considered point an infinitesimal quantity of water from a reference pool. So in soil water potential, there are three types, which is the gravitational potential, the metric potential, and the pressure potential. So first, let's start with gravitational potential. Gravitational potential is due to the force of gravity pulling on the water. It independent of soil properties and depends on the vertical distance between the water elevation and a reference elevation. The next one is the metric potential. Metric potential is due to the force exerted on the water by the soil. It is also called tension, and it is the combination of a absorptive And capillary forces in the soil. The matrix forces attract and bind water to the surface of soil particles, and it lowers its potential energy balloon that of the root water. It takes energy to overcome the matrix forces and move water from the one location to another. While the third one is the pressure potential. Pressure potential is due to mechanical on hydrostatic force exerted by water in soil. So the next one is the soil permeability. Soil permeability is a measure of the ability of air and water to move through soil. Its soil is its permeability. It is influenced by the size, shape, and continuity of the pore spaces, which in turn are dependent on the soil both density, structure, and texture. So here is the table that represents soil permeability classes. The classifications are very slow, moderately slow, moderate, moderately rapid, rapid, and very rapid. So it shows the infiltration rate inches per